The Malhotra mansion had witnessed wars without bloodshed for decades. Silent battles fought with signatures, silence, and calculated glances. Decisions made in its rooms had toppled empires and created legends. Yet the study in the East Wing had never felt this oppressive. Arjun Malhotra stood with his back to the room, facing the floor-to-ceiling windows that framed the city like a living organism. Below him, glass towers pierced the sky, streets pulsed with movement, and lights burned endlessly, each one a reminder of something he owned, controlled, conquered. Normally, the sight grounded him. Tonight, it felt like iron bars closing in. Behind him, the faint tick of an antique clock marked every second with quiet cruelty. His grandfather sat behind the massive teak desk, spine straight despite age, fingers interlocked as if carved from patience itself. Time had silvered his hair, but not dulled his authority. His eyes, sharp, unwavering, held the weight of generations. The air carried the scent of old paper and sandalwood. Legacy lingered here. Tradition breathed. "You will marry her," the old man said. No preamble, no explanation, no room for refusal. The words landed with the finality of a verdict. Arjun's jaw tightened. His fingers curled around the back of the chair he stood behind, knuckles whitening against the polished wood. His tailored suit fit him perfectly, custom-made, immaculate. Yet suddenly it felt restrictive, like armor he couldn't shed. He turned slowly, his expression calm, controlled. But beneath it something sharp stirred. "I built this empire," Arjun said, his voice measured, deliberate. Every syllable was restrained anger. Brick by brick, deal by deal. He met his grandfather's gaze. "You don't get to dictate my personal life." For a moment, the old man said nothing. Then he reached for a thin file on the desk and slid it across the surface. The sound was soft but decisive. "You rule," his grandfather replied calmly, "because I allow you to." Arjun stiffened. "And I will not," the old man continued, voice steady as stone. "Leave my legacy in the hands of a man who believes attachment is weakness." Something dark flickered in Arjun's eyes. He stepped forward and opened the file. A photograph stared back at him. Not styled, not polished, no artifice. A young woman stood in plain daylight, dressed in a simple cotton kurta. No makeup, no forced smile. Her eyes, quiet, observant, held a calm that wasn't innocence but awareness. Ananya Sharma. His lips curved slowly. Disbelief etched into his face. "She's nothing like us," he said, almost incredulous. No ambition radiated from the image, no hunger, no sharp edges, just stillness. His grandfather leaned back slightly. "That," he said quietly, with the certainty of a man who had already won, "is exactly the point." Arjun closed the file, his chest tightening with a sensation he didn't recognize immediately. It wasn't fear, it was resistance. Deep, instinctive, and terrifying in its immovability. For the first time that night, Arjun Malhotra realized something was being taken from him. Not his empire, but his choice. Ananya's house smelled of boiled milk and antiseptic. Comfort and sickness tangled together in the air. The ceiling fan creaked as it turned, its tired rhythm stirring warm air that refused to move, as if even the breeze was reluctant to disturb the fragile peace inside the house. Afternoon sunlight filtered through thin curtains, settling gently over worn furniture that carried years of careful use. From the next room came the uneven sound of breathing. Her mother slept fitfully, her chest rising and falling with effort. Each breath a quiet battle. Medicine bottles lined the bedside table in precise rows. Labels faded, caps tightened, dosages memorized. They stood there like silent soldiers, waiting to do their duty while time marched forward without mercy. When the proposal arrived, it felt unreal. Ananya scanned the papers once, then twice, her brows knitting in disbelief. A billionaire's name, a world she had only ever seen from the outside. She let out a laugh before she could stop herself. It was short, hollow, the kind of sound that escaped when disbelief had nowhere else to go. "They've made a mistake," she said, handing the papers back carefully as though they might burn her fingers. "I don't belong there." She expected arguments, persuasion, maybe even anger. Instead, her father remained silent. He sat across from her, shoulders slumped, hands resting limply on his knees. His eyes avoided hers, fixed somewhere on the floor where hope had long ago learned to disappear. In that moment, he looked older than she had ever seen him. The silence stretched. It pressed against her chest, heavy and unforgiving, until breathing felt like an effort. No one contradicted her refusal, because no one could. That was when she understood. That night, Ananya lay awake on her narrow bed, staring at the cracked ceiling above her. Moonlight traced familiar patterns along the walls, illuminating the small imperfections she had known all her life. From the next room came the faint wheeze of her mother's breath. Inhale, pause, exhale. Every sound felt fragile, borrowed, as though the air itself might change its mind. Ananya clenched her fists beneath the thin blanket, nails biting into her palms to keep the tears quiet. She did not cry loudly. She could not afford to. She thought of classrooms filled with children's laughter, of evenings spent grading papers, of a future that had once felt simple, if not grand. By morning, clarity arrived, not gently, but with resignation. Some choices were luxuries. She didn't have them. Later that day, when the question was asked again, Ananya lifted her chin. Her voice did not waver, even though something inside her broke beyond repair. "Yes," she whispered. "I'll marry him." No one celebrated, no one smiled, and somewhere miles away, in a room far colder and far grander, Arjun Malhotra signed the same fate. His jaw clenched, his signature sharp and final. 2 lives altered in silence, neither by choice. The wedding venue glittered as though excess itself were a virtue. Crystal chandeliers hung low from the high ceiling, refracting light into 1,000 sharp fragments that danced across marble floors. Silk drapes cascaded in rich folds along the walls, heavy with embroidery and tradition. Gold gleamed everywhere, on pillars, on platters, on the wrists and necks of guests who smiled with practiced ease. It was a spectacle built for admiration. Cameras flashed endlessly. Blessings poured in, rehearsed and automatic. Laughter rose and fell on cue. Arjun Malhotra sat at the mandap, immaculately dressed, rigid as stone. From the corner of his eye, he took in everything he disliked: the noise, the performance, the illusion of celebration. And beside him, Ananya. She didn't fidget, didn't tremble, didn't search the crowd for comfort. She sat with her hands folded neatly before her posture straight, her chin slightly lifted. Her eyes remained lowered, not in obedience, not in fear, but in quiet restraint, as though she were conserving herself for survival. That unsettled him more than tears ever could have. He had expected nervousness, perhaps resentment, maybe even visible heartbreak. But she was composed, contained. When the priest began the chants, the air thickened with incense and tradition. The mantras flowed around them like something ancient and unyielding. When it was time for vows, Arjun spoke without hesitation. His voice was clear, controlled, emotionless. Each word landed precisely where it was meant to. Nothing more, nothing less. Ananya's voice followed his, soft, steady, almost distant, not fragile, not hopeful, detached. Something tightened in Arjun's chest. The rituals ended. Applause followed. Flowers rained down. They were pronounced husband and wife to thunderous approval. And yet, nothing felt real. That night, the bedroom awaited them in suffocating silence. It was too large, too pristine, more a display of luxury than a space meant for intimacy. The bed dominated the room, its untouched sheets gleaming under warm lights. Arjun loosened his kurta sharply, irritation creeping beneath his skin like something restless and unwelcome. He rolled up his sleeves, pacing once before stopping. "This marriage is a contract," he said finally, his voice cold, clipped. "There will be no expectations, no interference in my life." Ananya stood near the vanity, her back to him. She reached for her bangles and slid them off one by one. The soft clink echoed through the room, each sound measured, deliberate. "That's fine," she replied quietly, not turning around. "I didn't come here expecting affection." Her tone held no accusation, no plea, just acceptance. The words should have brought relief. Instead, they struck something raw. Arjun watched her reflection in the mirror, the calm line of her mouth, the steady hands, the absence of emotion on her face. Her composure felt like rejection, like indifference. And he hated deeply, irrationally, that it affected him at all. The mansion swallowed Ananya whole. Its gates closed behind her with a quiet finality, sealing her inside a world that felt too large, too polished, too indifferent to notice her presence. Corridors stretched endlessly, their marble floors gleaming beneath crystal lights that never flickered. Everything shone, but nothing felt warm. Her footsteps echoed faintly as she walked, hesitant, almost apologetic. This house was built for authority, for power, for men who commanded rooms without raising their voices, not for belonging. Arjun was rarely home. When he was, he moved through the mansion like a shadow with purpose. Brief, distant, unreachable. Their paths crossed only in passing. A nod in the hallway, a fleeting glance across a table, silence lingering where words could have existed. There were no arguments, no conversations, no expectations, just space. Ananya learned quickly how to exist within that space. She spoke softly, moved carefully. She learned which doors remained closed, which hours were safest for solitude. And slowly, quietly, she disappeared. The library became her refuge. Tall windows let sunlight pour in during the afternoons, illuminating shelves heavy with books that smelled of paper and time. Dust motes floated lazily in the air, untouched by urgency. Here the world slowed. Books welcomed her without judgment. Their worn pages offered escape. Stories of courage, pain, and love that felt gentler than reality. Within those pages, she could forget the weight of her name, the mansion, the marriage. One night, Arjun returned early. The house was unusually quiet, its silence deeper than usual, as though holding its breath. He loosened his tie absently as he walked toward the stairs, then stopped mid-step. She was there, curled into the corner of the sofa, one leg tucked beneath her, the other dangling slightly. Her hair was loosely tied, strands escaping to brush against her cheek. Glasses sat precariously on the bridge of her nose as she read, utterly unaware of his presence. A faint smile curved her lips, not polite, not practiced, unconscious. Something unfamiliar tightened in Arjun's chest. She wasn't performing, wasn't trying to belong. She simply was. She looked untouched by him, by the expectations of his name, by the weight of the world he inhabited. For the first time since the wedding, Arjun didn't see her as an obligation or a reminder of what he hadn't chosen. He saw her as separate, and that unsettled him deeply. He stood there longer than he intended to, watching the slow rise and fall of her breath, the way her finger traced a line across the page, the stillness that wrapped around her like armor. When she finally shifted, sensing something, he stepped back into the shadows without a sound. But the image stayed with him long after. Her silence had found him. The business dinner unfolded exactly as Arjun expected. Loud laughter echoed beneath crystal lights. Conversations overlapped, sharp, polished, rehearsed. Power moved from table to table in the form of handshakes and measured smiles. Everything about the evening was designed to impress, to perform, to be seen. Ananya stood beside him, quietly observant. She wore a simple sari, soft fabric, muted color. No diamonds, no statement jewelry, nothing that demanded attention. And yet, attention found her anyway. Arjun noticed it slowly at first, lingering glances, second looks, eyes that returned to her far too often. He dismissed it until he didn't. One of the executives leaned closer than necessary as he spoke to her, his laughter a little too warm, his posture too familiar. He angled his body toward her, invading space that was not his to take. Arjun felt it instantly, a sharp tightening in his jaw, a heat that climbed, sudden and unwelcome. Before he could stop himself, he moved. He stepped closer, closing the distance, his hand settling against Ananya's lower back, firm, possessive, unmistakable. Not a gesture of affection, a statement. "She's taken," Arjun said flatly. His voice cut clean through the noise. The executive froze, color draining from his face as he straightened at once. "Of course," he muttered quickly, stepping back. Ananya inhaled sharply beneath Arjun's touch. Her body stiffened, not in fear but surprise. She hadn't seen him move, hadn't expected the sudden claim, the undeniable presence of his hand anchoring her in place. The rest of the evening passed in fragments, polite smiles, brief exchanges. Arjun's attention never strayed far from her again. In the car, the city blurred past in streaks of light. Silence filled the space between them, thick, weighted, impossible to ignore. "Why did you do that?" Ananya asked finally. She stared out the window, her reflection faint against the glass, her voice controlled but edged with confusion. Arjun didn't answer immediately. He watched his own reflection instead, the tension in his expression, the tight line of his mouth. He hadn't planned that reaction, hadn't sanctioned it. "Because you're my wife," he said at last. She turned slightly, not fully facing him. "You don't want me," she said quietly. Not accusing, just stating a truth she believed. His fingers curled slowly into a fist on his knee. "That doesn't mean," he replied, voice low and sharp, "anyone else gets to look at you like that." The words surprised even him. Her heartbeat quickened, a rapid rhythm she couldn't explain away. Something twisted in her chest, unsettling, confusing, dangerous. She looked back out the window, lips pressed together. Arjun leaned back against the seat, staring ahead, his mind restless. Jealousy had never been part of his vocabulary, yet it had arrived without permission, raw, instinctive, undeniable. And neither of them knew what to do with it. The night settled heavily over the mansion. Outside, the city hummed faintly, distant and indifferent. But inside the bedroom, the air felt thick, weighted with things unsaid, undone. The lights were dim, casting soft shadows that stretched and blurred, making the space feel smaller than it was. Ananya changed quietly, She moved with careful precision, as though every motion required thought. The simple cotton nightdress slipped over her shoulders, its modest fabric a shield more than comfort. She kept her back to him, her hands steady even as her pulse betrayed her. She was aware of him, of his presence, of his attention. Arjun sat on the edge of the bed, elbows resting on his knees, watching her from the corner of his eye. He hadn't meant to, but once he started, he couldn't look away. The way she tied her hair back, the slight hesitation before she turned, the tension held in her shoulders. She did not meet his gaze. That, more than anything, unsettled him. "Stop acting like I'm invisible," he said suddenly. The words came out sharper than intended, cutting through the silence. Ananya froze. Her fingers tightened around the edge of the nightdress, knuckles paling. Slowly she turned. Not fully, just enough for him to see her profile. "I thought," she said quietly, "that's what you wanted." There was no bitterness in her voice, only tired acceptance. Something twisted painfully in his chest. Arjun stood. The movement was abrupt, decisive. 2 steps closed the distance between them, the space shrinking until she could feel his warmth, his breath, the restrained tension radiating from him. Too close. "I want honesty," he said, his voice low now, stripped of its earlier edge. "And I don't like sharing what's mine." The words lingered, possessive, dangerous. Ananya's breath faltered. She lifted her chin slightly, refusing to retreat even as her heart raced. "I'm not something to own," she said, her voice steady despite the tremor beneath it. His eyes darkened. Not with anger, but with something far more volatile. "No," he murmured, his tone softer now, almost intimate. "You're a temptation I never planned for." The confession hung between them, their breaths mingled. His gaze dropped briefly, to her lips, then back to her eyes. Hers wavered just for a second. Neither stepped away, neither reached out. The air between them felt charged, fragile, alive, as though one wrong word, one unguarded touch, would shatter the careful balance they clung to. In that moment, they stood suspended between restraint and surrender, and both knew nothing would ever be simple again.